why do people have such a feel? Andrew, by the way, for those that don't know Andrew, Andrew's had a lot of success in business. He's involved in several companies. He's got a big promotional company where he's working with, like freaking Ducati and like some massive brands, right? Like, I don't know, freaking Coca-Cola, maybe like some big brands, right? Well, actually, you want to name drop for a second just to help me out?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll kind of give the 2 second story. Born in Florida, grew up in Columbus, Ohio. I live now in Denver, Colorado. Like Cody said, I'm more in the marketing space. I've focused a lot on experiential marketing, so more in-person consumer experiences, music festivals, just getting the people to be involved in the brand, feel it, see it, grab an emotional connection to the brand. And that's how we really attract people to the brand. To Cody's point, some of the people that I've worked for is Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Starbucks, Progressive Insurance, Ducati. The list goes on just a little bit longer, but some big brands that have some big budgets, and definitely have learned a lot. So it's been fun, and it's been fun translating that to the insurance industry. I've gotten into P&C in the past year. Definitely been a learning curve for myself. That's how I found Cody, was to jump on and try and learn as quickly as possible. And that's kind of where I am now and what's brought me here.
Started from the bottom, now we're here, right?
Exactly.
Hey, I'm sure you guys have never heard of any of those brands that he name dropped, right? So just kidding, right? That's some massive names. That's insane. I mean, you think about it though. Also, this Andrew's going to be acquiring some P&C agencies in Colorado over the course of the next, 6, 7, 8 months. And so you're going to see him go from, whatever he's doing in business revenue to millions in a short amount of time. And he's going to prove that model and actually document his journey and share some of that along the way with other people, right? Which is super powerful. What have you learned on, just as a business person in general? Like you've been around insurance long enough now to where you see that the average insurance agent has trouble getting in front of people. When they get in front of people, they have trouble building rapport. They have trouble getting those people that they didn't build rapport well enough with to actually make a decision. And then if they ever try to build a team, they have trouble getting others to do what they do, right? Like, what's your thought on some of those steps from what you've seen in our industry?
Yeah, I think it's, comparing that to what I do, I'll kind of just give you the 2 second day-to-day that kind of relates to this. Is we manage a group of brand ambassadors, brand representatives across the United States. Before the COVID pandemic came in and kind of wiped out our industry, I had 110 contractors across the United States, all working anywhere between 5 hours a week to 105 hours a week. So it was kind of a wide variety. Each one of those people have obviously a very unique personality. The person who's working 5 hours has a different demeanor than the person working 105 hours. So it's important to, one, set up a solid a solid set of rules or a structure in place that anybody that comes in can follow. That's one thing that I'm currently working on, is redoing like a brand mantra for who I am and what I want to represent. Because the stronger identity that you can have about yourself and your brand, the easier it is to bring people in and kind of be absorbed in the nature of what you're trying to come up with or what you're trying to pursue. So, creating that foundation, I think, is probably one of the most important things. When it's getting in front of people, again, just not kind of bowing down to what the standards that they set, the answers that they're looking for. Be proud of who you are, be representative of who you are in any situation, because I think that goes a lot longer than kind of bowing down and kind of saying, oh, well, we might be able to do this, oh, we might be able to do that. Being strict with yourself, your employees, your clients mainly. It's tough to kind of say no every once in a while when a client wants to do something that might not be directly in line with what you believe in or how you're trying to do it. But just having that confidence, because at the end of the day, I think it's important to remember that you're the expert. You're the person that is in charge of that business deal or that contract. And at the end of the day, it's on your shoulders, and you're going to be the last representative that they're hopefully going to work with, but the representative of that deal.
Yep. And if you break down each one of those parts, okay, as our audience keeps growing here, which is good, okay? Yeah. So welcome to Rising Star. As we break down each one of those pieces, what have you learned from the Ducatis and the Pepsis and the Starbucks and the these massive companies you've worked with in the past. This dude's a player, by the way, if you couldn't tell already. Like he doesn't come across as one at all, by the way. Like he just super chill, humble, but he's the dude. He owns the world. Let's just be honest. Okay.
We don't have to go that far, but I appreciate that.
What have you? The world is his oyster, right? What have you learned? What have you learned from some of these major brands about getting in front of prospects? Like all these rising stars are trying to get in front of consumers and prospects, and the more the merrier, right? Mm-hmm. What have you learned that these bigger brands are doing better than the average people in our industry?
Yeah, so I'll kind of just start from the beginning of how I got in front of these brands. One, Pepsi, a guy was sitting, so I used to work at a marketing agency here in Colorado. The guy sitting next to me was a contractor, was only going to be working in the office for 2 months. Him and I struck some common chords, became good friends, and kind of continued our relationship. He hopped around between 3 or 4 different companies over those 4 or 5 years. And then he called me and asked me, hey, do you want to jump in and do this? So, I think with that being said, it's to take advantage of the opportunities that are in front of you. 2, you never know who you're going to meet. You never know what the connection is going to be. You never know when you might need help with something. You never know when someone else might need your help. So it's very important to always, be in front of these people, get in front of as many people as possible, which, working with Cody has done an amazing job of, for me in the insurance industry, the people that I've been in front of while just hanging out with him and, being involved in, power players. And I'm excited to go to 8% and meet more people there. But always being in the best room that you can, moving forward. And sorry, I forgot the part 2.
Oh, you said you forgot the part 2?
No, it's okay. What was the second part of your question?
Well, just like, what have you learned from those big brands? Like big brands are really good at getting people's attention and getting in front of people. But a lot of people are in our industry really, really, really struggle to get in front of people,
I think it's the kind of the multi-prong approach, right? They have their, nationwide commercials. They have their local touch points. They have their, mid-range influencer program. So I think canvassing across the spectrum is super important. Again, it's hard to compete when, myself is going to go put commercials out on YouTube. I'm going to be competing with Lemonade and Progressive and, some of these other carriers directly. So it's, from an insurance agent's perspective, local recognition, frequency within a local market, I think is probably most important for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they've also, I've also learned that they're attacking human behavior, and analytics and all that stuff in a whole nother direction. Like when they target people, they're targeting people based on personality types and what they would drive and what they would wear and what color their shoes would be, whatever, right? Like it's insane the amount of detail they go into that we normally don't. We're just like, let's just send a direct mail to everyone and hope somebody responds, right?
Yeah. And I think with that being said, I think 2 of the biggest things that people need to do when they're kind of getting into any industry, whether it's selling to someone or selling to an organization, is create that person. Like, who are you going to be selling to? And I get very specific when I work with some of our smaller business clients. Like, we do male or female. What's the percentage breakdown? Are they driving to work? Are they walking to work? Are they listening to a podcast? Are they listening to music? What music are they going to be listening to? Because all those little gaps are places for you to insert yourself. So if you know that the majority of your audience is going to be listening to a podcast, walking to work, you have 45 minutes to interact with that person every single day if you hit the podcast correctly. Same with yourself. Like, you need to know who you are as an agent or who you are as a business. Build that persona out for yourself. What do you do? Who do you represent? What music do you listen to? What shows do you watch? Because the more specific you can get on both sides of the card, the easier it is to insert yourself into those markets. We all know that probably not every single person that we cater to is very interested or is very knowledgeable about the insurance, but they go on runs, they go on walks, they do different activities. So when I come up with content strategies for people, what areas of those kind of overlap and where can you insert yourself into kind of their everyday process without really kind of interrupting their routine?
Yep. What's one of the biggest advice you would give to an agent that's struggling to get in front of people on a weekly basis? Like if we surveyed the audience right now of rising stars, I would bet that probably 2/3 to 3/4 struggles to consistently get in front of enough people every single week, right? I hope that's not the case, but it's normally the case. It's the only reason people fail out of this business, right? And we can't all be, you know, a magnet for people like Moon Thomas, right? Like some of us are just not as cool. What would you say to that?
Yeah, I think a couple different things. I think, you know, obviously work what you have. You know, it's obviously the easiest place to start. Work what's, you know, right in front of you, and work it, you know, to the depths end. You know, obviously we've talked on these calls about, you know, triple dialing and some, you know, of the creative ways to engage with people. You know, I think the next step outside of that is engage with the community. I think that's kind of where a lot of people fall short of, and not assuming that that's where, you know, people can be engaged with. You know, go to car meetups, go to festivals. You don't have to have a booth. You don't have to have a, you know, a crazy display. Walk around with business cards, walk around shooting, you know, content for yourself to post on social media. You know, engage yourself in the community. I think that's very important. And again, focusing on, you know, frequency within a local area as, you know, as much as you can. Like I do my best to go to the gym every day, and I put Denver as like a tag because I'm trying to establish myself in Denver with other people that have common interests, people that work out in Denver. And I've had a couple people reach out to me and, you know, just kind of shoot the bird. I saw a few kids on here, so I apologize. But yeah, so I think, I think the community, we live in a crazy time where the community isn't inside this room anymore. It's inside your phone. It's inside the, you know, internet, as crazy and cliche as that sounds, but it's a lot bigger than just what's in front of you now. So it's engaging with everybody there is super important.
Yeah. One of the things you mentioned that made me think that would be really relevant for those listening now is really building up like this, like by show of hands or in chat, because some of you got video off, who's working in a local market. You have the ability to serve and help people in your local area. Some of you are not, right? Like in Ashton is selling virtually to pretty much everybody, right? But some of you, okay, good, are doing some face-to-face. You're getting in front of people locally. You're doing some of that. We're doing both, which is great. Thank you, Becky. Thank you, AJ. What are some community-based ideas that people can do to not only grow their brand, build their database of leads in their community, but to get in front of more people as they're doing that?
Yeah, I think so. Kind of more on like the organic side without spending a dollar.
Yep.
Volunteering. So volunteering is a great opportunity to get involved in your community, give back, send a solid brand message, you know, from your personal brand, from the company that you work with, and engage with a large, wide, you know, group of people that have similar, you know, interests and hobbies to you. You know, obviously everybody's there for a common purpose, and that tends to unite people. So, you know, that's a great way to get involved in the community and kind of stepping outside of your traditional pathways. You know, the local meetups, car meetups are a great way to do it. Farmers markets are a great way to do it. Taking it up half a step, you know, getting a tent at a booth, get a tent at a festival. Denver, Colorado, we're starting to open back up. We had Cinco de Mayo festival. I believe it attracts, you know, 225,000 people to the city of Denver to come out and kind of walk around, be absorbed in the local culture, you know, period foods and all that kind of stuff. So people really enjoy that as well. Some of the attractors that you can do, a lot of people, of course, a lot of people like to do giveaways, which is huge. If you can do I think it's not important to think, going back to what we said earlier, not about the cost of the activation, but the breakdown of the leads that you think you can get from that. So if you spend $500, say we're going to give away a TV, you know, what does $500 in leads mean to you? Is that, you know, 50? Is that 100? You know, how many leads is that? So, you know, work that backwards. So how many leads do you have to pay?
That's good.
To get to an activation. So that's kind of the backwards way to kind of do the math and collect leads, or, you know, getting creative with leads that way.
Hey, if you enjoyed this, I got another one you're gonna love. It's right there. Click on it. See you in there. Let's talk about the Tesla since you brought it up. Okay, so they gave away a Tesla this past year.
Yes.
How did that work? What did you do? Whose idea was it? Where did it come from?
You know, you look at it, we all give back to our community, and we're like, you know,